all. Welcome to the webinar. So good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So I think most of the participants are from India only. So very warm good evening, and I welcome our speaker for the day, Amanda. She is from University of St. Thomas, USA. She will be addressing the whole session today, and will try and answer all your queries that we have already received and that you will be asking through the session. We'll try and answer all those queries. So this is the third chapter of Collegedunia Study Abroad webinars. So like as for the last webinars that we organized, so we received a lot of queries, especially for US, for the students who actually wanted to go and study in the US. So we planned that we should go ahead with a webinar that will only be addressing to the needs, to the questions, to the queries of the students who are aspiring to go and study in the US. Okay, so to introduce Amanda, uh, she is the representative from again from the University of St. Thomas, and she is the international admissions counselor over there. She began as a graduate assistant in the Office of International Students and Scholars in 2017 and worked there while she completed her master's degree in student affairs leadership. Once she completed her master's in May 2019, she joined OISS as an international admissions counselor, and I think Amanda, you can go ahead with you can introduce yourself in a better way, and then you can go ahead with the presentation.
That was a super nice presentation. Thank you.
Please.
So I'm going to share so you can see. So can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. I just want to confirm. So my name is Amanda, like you've just learned. I have been at the University of St. Thomas for 3 years and also have gone to school there. So it's been a really wonderful experience, and I would not work anywhere else. And I really believe in what we can offer international students because my own experience, and we're really close to our students. I know them very well, and that's really important when you choose a college, especially when you study abroad. So the University of St. Thomas, we are located in Minnesota. We highlighted it for you. Not everybody's always familiar with the geography of the United States. We're right in the middle of the country. And we're in an area called the Twin Cities. So it's really nice to know where you might decide to move. I highly recommend looking at social media pages. I linked some here for students. And we're in the middle of what's called Minneapolis and St. Paul. They're really close together, so that's why they're called the Twin Cities. And the Mississippi River's in the middle. So usually people know the Mississippi River. We're right on it. Our campus actually backs up to the Mississippi River. And we're known for having a lot of lakes. We have more coastal shoreline for lakes than California, Hawaii, and I think New York combined. So a lot of lakes. So if you like nature, but you also want a city environment, it's a good area for you. It is a very, very good place to live. I am actually from Illinois. That's where I'm quarantining right now, actually, with my family. But I moved to Minnesota to go to St. Thomas, and I will never move back. It is such a nice place to live. And so it's also the safest state in the United States, which is a really big deal for if you're choosing to go abroad, and for you and your family, you want to feel safe. And Minnesota is extremely safe. But also it's the best state for jobs. So if you want to stay afterward and take advantage of that opportunity to work, which I'll talk about later, it's a really good place to do that. We have over 17 Fortune 500 companies in the Twin Cities. And these are just some of the awesome companies in the area that want to hire students like you for internships, maybe for full-time work once you finish, for part-time work while you're studying. A lot of different options, a lot of different career fairs, which I'll talk about as well. So I'll talk a little bit about Minnesota since maybe everyone's not familiar, and it's probably good to know. So we have an awesome state fair. It's one of the biggest in the country, and we do bring students here when they arrive because it's the same time for fall students. That's really nice. We bring them for free, and so they get to experience all the greatness. It's kind of like a culture phenomenon. Like it's a very unique experience. We're also 10 minutes from the international airport. So when you come, or if you want to go home or go visit friends or family in the United States, it's extremely easy to do that. We're very, very close. We're also 10 minutes from the biggest mall in the United States, so get your shopping on. We do have 4 seasons. So some students are like, oh, winter. No, it's actually super beautiful and awesome, and it's a really unique experience. So we enjoy the 4 seasons. And Minnesotans love winter. They're obsessed with winter. And so they have a ton of really fun, unique opportunities that you guys could engage in over winter, like building ice castles and snow sculptures, things like that. We are also 2 hours south of Lake Superior, which is, it borders up against the city of Duluth. And this is the largest freshwater lake in the world. And so it's a really cool area. If you make some good American friends, or you even rent a car with some friends, you guys can drive up there, and it's one of the most beautiful drives you'll ever do. Tons of hiking, waterfalls, things like that. And then we also love our outdoor activities in Minnesota. So a lot of biking, hiking, water activities, fishing. We take students to an apple farm in the fall. That's new students. And then we also have professional sports teams if you enjoy going to different sports activities. And we will bring students to soccer, football for free. We will also, this university will do a bunch of different outings to go see like hockey or baseball games for free for students. And then also, if you're interested in art or museums or theater, the city is actually known for having a really strong theater program. So if you want to see plays or take advantage of kind of the different cultural activities there, you absolutely can. So this is us, which you can also see in my virtual background. This is the University of St. Thomas in Minnesota. And we actually have, this is the main campus right here. These are the famous arches that you will walk in and out of when you start and when you graduate. And all of these buildings are actually connected through tunnels. And so that means that if you're cold in the winter, you actually don't have to go outside. You just go connect underground the whole way. So that's pretty nice if it's blizzarding out or something. So some facts about us. We are pretty old. We were founded in 1885. We are a private Catholic liberal arts university with very strong STEM programs. You absolutely do not have to be Catholic to go to St. Thomas. There are students from all different backgrounds or non-religious as well. It's just the foundation of the school, and it kind of sinks in a lot of the moral values that the school has. We are the largest private university in Minnesota. And after my presentation, if you have questions about public versus private, I'd be happy to answer them. It's kind of a different system here. We are small. So that's what kind of our strength is. We are about 10,000 students overall. 6,000 of those students are undergraduate, about 4,000 are master's students. And that means your class sizes on average will be about 20 students, sometimes smaller, sometimes slightly bigger, depends on your major and what course you're taking. But that means that when you walk in the classroom, it'll always be a St. Thomas professor, so someone with their PhD, asking you questions, teaching you, talking to you, getting to know you, and that is invaluable. If you talk about private versus public, usually private's smaller. And so we are smaller for that reason, because we want students to get that really unique, individualized experience. Because if you have a professor who teaches your classes and knows you, when it's time for you to graduate or go to graduate school, maybe get a job, you're going to have a professor in your corner who might write you a letter of recommendation or talk to their professional network about you to help you in your future. So it's a huge advantage. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And then we are about 139 nationally ranked, number 38 for engineering, 147 for business. There's about 2,500 four-year universities in the United States. So that helps if you want to look at what that looks like. That helps kind of give a number to something. And we have about 550 international students from 71 different countries. So it's a really diverse population. Students from India are our second largest population on campus. So here we are. We are located on the Mississippi River and about 15-minute drive from Minneapolis right here, and then St. Paul's on the other side. They're about 20 minutes apart from both cities. We do have a free shuttle bus, though, that goes from our campus to downtown Minneapolis for students to use. So that's really nice for mobility if you don't have a car when you come. This is winter. It's very beautiful. Our student union, so if you're not familiar with U.S. institutions, student unions and kind of the outside learning that occurs on a campus are extremely important. It's a big part of your education. It's not like you go to class and you just go home. You are involved in different things on campus, and so that's really important for students to have that outside the classroom learning opportunities. And so most of that will happen in your student union. So ours is called the Anderson Student Center, and it's actually top 10 in the United States. It's pretty new and it's pretty nice. So this is where you eat meals. This is where my office is, things like that. We also have a really nice recreational facility that's also fairly new, also free for students, sweet indoor swimming pool. A library that looks like Harry Potter, which is cool. And then really high-tech state-of-the-art facilities. Because we are number 38 for engineering, that's really important that students have those hands-on opportunities. And then we also have a graduate school campus and a law school campus downtown Minneapolis, and that's where that shuttle bus that's free for students goes to. Undergraduate students typically won't have classes here. It's mostly graduate business, law, and some education courses. So, but it's a really good hub right in the middle of downtown. All the theaters, all the fun things to do, all the sports events are right near here, so it's really easy to get around. We are extremely proud of the fact that our students are highly employed. So when I was looking at places to go to graduate school for myself, I actually looked at St. Thomas because of this statistic. For my program, it was actually 96%. We're employed in 6 months. We are at 94%, and that means that vast majority of students get jobs or go to graduate school. And if they, for some reason, don't within 6 months, then maybe there's something else going on in their lives that we don't know about. And over half of our students also do internships. Really highly recommended. We are a very internship-friendly school for international students as well. So that's important. You want to ask universities when you're thinking, are you CPT-friendly? That means, do you have that opportunity for curricular practical training, which is your internship ability or your part-time work ability while you study, which you can start your second year of college. And then again, all of these massive companies are extremely close to campus for your internship opportunities or part-time work or full-time work. So this is a really cool map, and it shows the best college in every single state for employment, for students to get jobs afterward. Minnesota actually has an extremely high concentration of colleges and universities. We're the second highest in the country. So if you come, you'll be surrounded by a ton of students your age from all over the world. But you also know that out of all of those universities that are near us, we are the best for employment. And I'd like to think that that means that that personalized attention that we provide really does give you the skills that you need to be successful after you graduate. Campus life, like I said, is very important to US universities and colleges and your experience.
Amanda,
So,
sorry to interrupt. So students who all are watching us, please post all your queries in the Q&A section, and we'll be answering all your queries in the end. Instead of raising your hands, please just click on the Q&A button on your screen and just post all your queries over there. Thank you. Sorry, Amanda, you can continue now.
No, you're good. That's a really good thing to say. Yeah. Thank you. When you arrive at St. Thomas, and we will talk about what fall looks like with the COVID-19 situation as well. I know you're all anxious to hear. I have good news. You will hopefully do the March Through the Arches. And this is a really awesome ceremony that international students lead the entire new class of students, all wearing purple t-shirts we give you for free. And you carry your flag, and you lead everybody into campus for an opening ceremony. And then when you graduate, you get your flag, you lead everybody who's graduating with you out of campus. It's a really beautiful symbolic tradition that we love. It's one of my favorite days of the year because it's all our new students and they're excited and they get to be highlighted in such a unique way. So we also have friendship families. So if you are interested, you can be like a friend with a local family. It's a really good cultural experience. If you would maybe go to their house for dinner or shopping or Thanksgiving, which we also celebrate here. A good way to kind of make a connection that maybe you wouldn't otherwise have, but you don't live with them. So that's kind of nice. You get kind of the benefit of having independence, but maybe like a really nice support system. We also do these major spring dinners. They are cultural dinners. They're about 500 people. They're free, and they're really popular for students. And this is the one that we are most familiar with as international students, is the International Dinner. And so this is a celebration of all international students, and it's been happening for 30 years. So it's really awesome. So about 96% of our students do choose to live on campus their first year. We will be switching to a 2-year residency requirement next year. So if you're looking to come this fall or spring, you're totally fine about where you want to live. And that means that it's really good for students because living on campus actually helps them academically. So that's why we're switching, because it shows it's better for retention. But this is our campus. We have 2 new residence halls actually being built currently. So you could potentially live in a beautiful new residence hall. And you live in a traditional style dorm, probably for your first year with one other person, shared bathroom, things like that. And then when you get older, you can live in an apartment style where you have your own bedroom, you only share a bathroom with one person, you have a kitchen. It's pretty nice. And if you live in the building that's pictured, you get this view of like the city, and it's amazing. So highly recommend. So we have over 140 different clubs, very active campus, and there's literally anything you could possibly be interested in. And we do meet twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have no class during lunchtime, so students can meet with their clubs, professors, kind of do things on the side that are important for them. We are currently a Division III school, but we actually have been accepted into a Division I kind of competition level. So we're waiting for approval. Obviously due to COVID, that's been kind of delayed, but we don't expect to get rejected. And so that's really historic for us. We're the first school that has been able to make that move, and they're rewriting the rules to try to accept us. So even if you don't like sports, it really is a cool thing to have on your campus because the atmosphere, the competition level is different. It's very cool. We have something called January term, and January term is unique to some schools. January term is all of January. You are not really in a semester. It's an optional 1-month semester. If you want to take classes at St. Thomas for half the price, you absolutely can. You also can go study abroad again. So maybe you're interested in checking out a different part of the world through a St. Thomas class. You can absolutely go with your classmates to somewhere else in the world. Some students, they just want to travel. They'll go see friends or check out the United States, maybe Mexico or Canada, whatever they want for that month, or you can go home. And that's a really big deal for international students to have that option to go home in the middle of the year to see their family. So I really like this option. It's really flexible for students. So campus employment, I know that students often want to know, can you work? You can work on campus, and that's true for any school in the United States. You can work on campus your first year. Once you've been in the United States as a student on an F1 visa, you can work off campus on CPT, so an internship or part-time job after you've been there a year. But a lot of our students will choose to work on campus their first year, or even throughout their whole time at St. Thomas, because it's a really good learning opportunity. But also you make some money. Like you can definitely have some spending money for books or fun activities with your friends. And so usually students will start in dining, and then they might move into like the library or other things that might be more kind of geared towards what they're interested in. So we do have over 150 different majors and minors, and we've actually recently changed our tuition model. So if students can actually do a double major, so 2 majors or major minor combination for no extra money, as long as they follow a certain credit limit, which is very high. You would never take more credits than that if you're sane. And so it's the same price. So that's really great for our students who are extremely motivated, who want to get that multiple degrees. It's like getting 2 college degrees for the price of 1. So it's very cool. And then you can see here that we've labeled them as STEM, and that means they're science, technology, engineering, or math, and that means they're eligible for that 3-year work experience once you graduate. So you can see kind of what programs we offer that are eligible for that 3-year work permission. So we have over 150 different majors and minors. We are a liberal arts school, but these tend to be some of our unique and or very popular areas of study for international students. So School of Engineering, like I said, is ranked number 38 in the country. It's an extremely solid program. Highly recommend. It's ABET accredited. 80% of students do at least 1 internship while they're studying. Tons of students do research, original research with their professors. Maybe you want to go study abroad. You can. It's actually extremely popular for engineering students to do that as well. So that's a unique experience you could add on. And they also do a really intense senior design project where they partner with a local company in order to present like a unique solution to a problem, and a local company will sponsor them. Really good way to network with people in the field. So our Opus College of Business, we are AACSB accredited, very high accreditation for business schools. We have 12 different areas of business, and yes, you can do more than 1. So you'll start out as business. Your first year, you'll take introduction classes to figure out which area you'd like, and then you officially declare one of the areas after that. So a lot of flexibility in here. You could do business and engineering if you wanted. Some students will do like finance and business and economics as well. That's a good combination. Our science programs are extremely popular because we do have pre-professional programs. So if you'd like to look at what it might take to go to medical school, you can declare pre-professional programs, pre-med, and then maybe you would study like biology, biochemistry, neuroscience, something like that. And these are some of the most popular majors for research. So conducting original research with your professors is huge. That connection to professors is really important. When you look at schools in the United States in general, you want to look at like, where is the focus? If you're an undergraduate student, you want to go to an undergraduate focused university, because that means all of those research and job opportunities are going to be for you, which is awesome. If you're a master's student, you want to go to a master's focused university where they're focusing and giving those opportunities to you at the master's level. So sometimes undergraduate students are thinking, oh, I have to go to a big school. It's really important because of the name. But maybe as an undergraduate student, that's not the right choice, because you won't get those opportunities. And if you went to a smaller school, you would. So those are the things you should be looking at depending on what level you're starting at. Math and Actuarial Science. Actuarial Science is an amazing program. We have an accreditation, Society of Actuaries and Center for Actuarial Excellence, that only 33 schools in the entire world have. So if you are very strong at math and would like a very solid, smart career track, this is an extremely smart major for you. The faculty is 5 professors who full-time teach only actuarial classes, and 4 of them are international. So really awesome experience for students who are good at math. Highly recommend. And if you'd ever like to talk to one of their faculty members for any program for that matter, professors would love to talk to you. And if you want to talk to current students too that are studying a major you're interested in, more than happy to connect you. They're excited to talk to you too. Computer science, computer and information science. So this is also extremely popular. The Twin Cities is the #1 fastest growing area for tech jobs. So if you are interested in a tech job, it's a very smart move because it's an affordable place to live with a ton of opportunity. Some cities in the United States might be booming too. You can't live there, it's too expensive. Like, it's really hard. And it's very concentrated, saturated market. Not so much in the Twin Cities, so that's very cool. The other great thing is if you want to do your master's at St. Thomas as well, if you're at the undergraduate level, you could fast track and take some master's courses as an undergraduate and make it shorter. So that's an option too. So another great option we have is maybe you didn't get the test score that you needed, specifically with like any standard 10 or 12 exams, it's a little lower, but really it's more about like, is your English proficiency test slightly lower? And totally okay. So if you see here, we have a program, it's called the International Year 1 program. And what this means is if you have like 65, 70 TOEFL or something like that, you can still come to St. Thomas, even if you didn't hit our direct score of what we need is 80, you can absolutely still come. You will get a lot of extra free support your first year, and you'll still graduate in 4 years. Your first year, you will have somebody on staff who's uniquely dedicated to you and other students in the International Year 1 program. And she's amazing, and she'll help connect you with everything on campus. She'll meet with you, she'll help guide you. You'll have a student mentor, like a buddy that you can hang out with, get coffee with, ask questions about. And all that doesn't cost any extra. And we just want to make sure that if we're letting you into St. Thomas with a slightly lower score, we're giving you everything that you need to be successful, because it's a great school and we don't want you to struggle. You know, it's a hard struggle. A good struggle is fine, but a hard struggle where you're not doing well is not okay with us. And then after your first year, after you get that extra support that you need, you move into year 2 like normal. You'll be in class with everybody else and you'll be on your way. We'll still be here for you, of course, as support, but we feel confident you'll be ready to take on everything kind of more independently. So just to show you what it looks like, any way you come in, whether it's with a slightly lower English or GPA or what we accept for our direct, you still graduate in 4 years. You still get that St. Thomas I-20, which is very important for your visa interview. St. Thomas I-20 is a big important thing. And this is the curriculum for, so if you're accepted as an International Year 1 student, that you have your curriculum set. All of our international students actually come in with their classes pre-registered, but you have your curriculum set. You take some English classes to make sure that you are ready to go in terms of English proficiency. They're all taught by St. Thomas faculty, and then you move on. So a lot of these classes you have to take anyways for your first year, most of them actually. The English for academic purpose classes serve as a placeholder for a foreign language requirement because it's English. So you actually aren't losing any time or credit by doing this program, which is really important to us and for you guys to succeed. If you have questions about this too, we can get specific about math and English and general education requirements that every school and university in the US does. So I'm happy to help. And then if you want to look kind of where would I fit, what type of entry, this is a really helpful chart to see, like maybe if you're looking at your GPA or your English level score, things like that. If you are looking at your standard 10 and 12, we would like to see like B2 range minimum overall for direct. B3, B4, we'll have a conversation what that looks like for you after I average out your kind of scores for international year one. So those are your options. So tuition and fees, do not let this scare you. We have very high scholarships. And so that's really important to us to offer very high competitive merit-based scholarships for students, competitive with other universities, not with you. Any student who's worthy gets a full 70% scholarship if that's what they're eligible for. So this is the breakdown. In the United States, you do have to prove that you have cost of living funds and health insurance, all of that before you come. So we give estimates about what that would cost. What you choose to do in terms of housing, whether it's on campus, certain different residence halls, or off campus near us, that might change. It might fluctuate depending on your choices. And the only reason that costs are different, this is international year one pathway. The only reason costs are different, students in the international year one program, they do have to take one class their first year in that J term, in that January term. Students can choose to take it as well, and then they'd still have that same cost, but it's required for international year one, optional for direct. After your first year, you can do whatever you want for January. Lots of students choose to take class though. It's a great way, less expensive. And then our scholarships, yay. So that is a typo. It is 70 and 50. So you can get up to 50% off for international year one pathway, and you can get up to 70% off for direct. It is merit-based, so that means that, you know, we're looking at lower GPA for international year one pathway, so it won't go up to 70, because 70s and 60% off, those are like very stellar grades, very strong students, maybe did the SAT and did really well. But overall, it's about 50% off that our students get on average. So yeah, you'll get a scholarship, you will. I don't know what it'll be, but you will get a scholarship. If you qualify to come in, you'll come in with a scholarship. And so then you can see the less scary costs at the bottom for what it actually would be depending on your scholarship. And so that's overall too. That's like fees, tuition, housing, food, everything. So that helps. Tuition's actually much less. Okay, I am happy to answer any questions you have. We have tons of social media accounts that I answer. If you want to talk to a current student ever, I have amazing current students who volunteer to talk to incoming students like you. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you so much for taking the time to listen.
Thanks, Amanda, for such a wonderful and detailed session. I actually like after the session, even I might plan to come and study
You can
here.
come, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I see that the university is actually pretty strong in the STEM programs, right?
Huge. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even for the actuarial science, like being one of the 33 schools in the world that are distinguished by the Center for Actuarial Excellence, that actually makes a quite huge difference. Like Indians, and mostly Indians are actually they are quite good with math. That's the basic.
Great. Come on over. It sounds really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I think it's good time that we can start with the Q&A section, because like I see that there are many questions coming in, and again we will try and answer each of them. So Amanda, so like the most of the questions which I see are concerning with the scholarships. So can you throw a little more light on the scholarship program, like how like on what basis will the scholarships be given out to the students? Like when you define that, okay, on the merit basis, now will it be relative, or do you expect the students to score, like to have a score more than this in their in the previous educational this career, or there are some other agendas or other aspects also which are seen?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked it, or whoever asked it. So that's really important. So with scholarships, we consider every single student who applies, as long as they meet our, at very least, minimum requirements, either for international year one or direct admission, they will automatically be looked at for a scholarship. You don't have to apply additionally. Some schools have you do apply separately. So that means when you apply, give it your all. It is not like oh, I'll do the bare minimum to get in and then I'll apply for a scholarship later. Like, do not do that. Send us the best you have, because You can appeal for a larger scholarship, but it's probably better to get that larger scholarship on the first try because maybe you look lazy or something. We don't know what's going on. And so that means that for direct students anyways, we do not require the SAT or ACT, but if you took it and did well, that's definitely going to influence potentially your merit-based scholarship, right? Because it shows that you can handle hard pressure, you did well in your subjects. It's also a way for us, since the whole world has different schooling systems, to see something that might be similar across different students, to see like a better picture of like who the student is in a measurable way for us, because it is hard when you're comparing different types of grading systems. India we're super familiar with, so I'm not really as worried about India for that. With your guys' exams, it's pretty clear, so that's really nice for us. So it would be based on your standard 10 and 12. If you do not have your standard 12 yet, that's okay. We'll actually admit you and give you a scholarship based on your standard 10, and we might ask for your 9th and 11th grades as well to give us a better picture. So don't slack off in 11th grade, I know it happens. And then we'll just assume in good conscience that you will have at least about 10% range of potentially slightly lower for your standard 12. And for some reason, if it's completely different, we'll reevaluate once you have it, but usually we're pretty right about what that looks like. So it's okay, you can come, because I know you don't get your exam back in time. It's kind of late, so you need to apply before that. Please apply before that. Don't delay your plans because of that. And then, yes, it goes from 10 to 70% off for direct, 10 to 50% off for international year 1, and those are taken off of tuition. And so you can appeal if you don't think you got the scholarship you deserve. You can absolutely appeal. You write us a nice little letter and you send it to us, and we review it as a committee, and we say yes or no. Typically, if it's yes, it goes up by 10%. So if you have a 50, you might get a 60. Something like that. It's pretty rare for you to jump from 50 to 70, because 70 is for those top students. However, in the era of coronavirus, I would highly encourage you to apply, because we are trying to be a little bit more friendly because we understand it is very hard financially for many people right now, given the current circumstances. We totally get it. We're in it too. The whole world's in it, which is terrible, but also really uniting, because we're all suffering together. So there's something kind of in a weird way that unites us that way.
Yeah, even most of the students, like, they are just confused as of now. Like, should they go and should they go and study abroad, or should they drop their plan? What should be the next step be like?
Yeah,
and even
I
like
would actually.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I would just love to address that in general for schools. So right now, some schools are starting to announce what their plan is for all online or partially in person for fall. I would look at what schools are doing, and do not say no to a school because they're not all in person, because nobody knows how this will pan out. People are just doing the best they can with the decisions they're making right now. However, maybe I would recommend you look for schools who are trying to do a hybrid model or a socially distant model. So they'll keep you safe, but you'll still get the in-person pieces as much as possible. So that's something that St. Thomas is actually able to do. We are planning on doing per guidelines from the government. We want to make sure students are safe first and foremost. But it means that maybe your class of 20, you have 10 and 10 in a different classroom. The professor live streams to both and then goes back and forth. And that way you're still socially distant. You're not in a classroom like that. Maybe in the residence hall, you only share a bathroom with 5 people instead of it used to be 15 or something like that. So we're looking at every possible way to make sure that students get all the in-person they could possibly want while still being super safe. So I highly recommend start looking at what schools are doing for fall and give them a little bit of time, because it's a really big thing to undertake to try to figure out what to do to give students the best possible education and experience. But continue like COVID might disappear, because you want to have all your paperwork, all your applications already set. And if you need to, you can defer to spring and come at the end of January instead, at least for St. Thomas, that's true. With your same scholarship, we'll roll over your deposits, no problem. The visa process really at this point is probably what's going to hold up quite a few students with delays.
So Amita, addressing your earlier point that in which you said that even if the students don't have their 12th grade marks, they can still apply, right? That's actually a very good initiative taken by your university. Now, like again, we received some queries from the students that they are not able to complete their application because they are not able to get the LORs. Again, like because they're not able to go and meet their professors, their early professors, like for the master's course, or they're not able to meet their teachers. So how exactly are you addressing that? Like how you are addressing the LOR part?
Yeah. So the LORs are actually recommended but not required for us, because honestly, the world's a big place. People work a little bit differently. We don't want something like that to prevent someone from coming if they're amazing and they just couldn't get a letter. I would recommend write a killer essay, and that's okay. We understand you can't go get it. We totally understand. Like
Yeah.
we're totally understanding. And you know, even if in your application or in your essay, you want to explain it. Like, I would love to talk to you about my experience with this teacher or this person in the community doing blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, due to COVID, I can't. Like, that's fine. We get it. But it's nice to know that you wanted to do it and you couldn't versus you didn't care to do it. Does that make sense? Like, it would be nice to recognize it and move on. And that way, when we read it, we know, oh, they took the initiative and unfortunately couldn't follow through. And that's okay.
Got it. Great. Okay, so the next question is from Aishwarya Balaji, and the question is: I'm very much interested to study in US and especially in your esteemed university, but he says that his family is a little bit concerned about the fee structure and the hostel facilities. So if you
Mm-hmm.
can actually give a little more in detailed view of the fees. Basically, I think you already addressed that in your presentation, but again, like, if you can also throw a little more light on how the living expenses are being taken into account. Like, what if a student comes and studies over there, and on side by side he actually takes the part-time job or basically the campus employment, and he's able to earn something on his own. So what exactly will be the financial state of the student? Like, will he what amount of a loan will he require, or what amount will he need to spend from his pocket, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
If you can actually
Yeah.
address this.
Definitely I can. So how it breaks down is obviously your whatever scholarship you get, it does come out of tuition. And so when we send you your admission letter, it'll actually say, congratulations, you got this % scholarship, it equals this many dollars off tuition. And then at the bottom, we'll say, okay, so here's the remaining costs. So at least you'll know right away. So that's why I say, like, just apply. Like, it's free to apply, and then you know, and then you can make your decisions moving forward from there. So at least you have a cost and structure to work with. Highly recommend doing that first. Then if you want, what I would do is I would send you your individual breakdown of, like, here's what tuition is. You can calculate it yourself based on tuition cost. That's okay, I can calculate it for you. And then we do lump together everything because you have to, per US regulation, we have to be able to have students show they have enough to live for 1 year. And that's just what it is, unfortunately. And so it would be tuition. It would be estimated cost for housing on campus. So the cost that's there is our on-campus housing cost and unlimited meal plan together. We put them together because if you are a first year or a second year undergraduate student, you will be living on campus and you will need to eat. So you have to have a meal plan. And so those are lumped together. And if you actually break it down by month, our actual on-campus housing is pretty affordable, especially for the neighborhood we're in. It's an extremely nice neighborhood. And so when you break it down by a month, it actually equals, like, roughly what rent could be for a pretty decent place in the area. And so, of course, that's your decision to make. If you are going to come in this year, you can absolutely live off campus, but you still have to show in a bank account the cost for living that's estimated based on living on campus, because we do have to provide a cost of living. So that's required. And then obviously your cost of living and meals could change if you live next to campus in an apartment with some people or something like that. That's your choice. There are a ton of student housing options, even if you live on campus in the beginning and then move off campus later. Like I said, we have a ton of colleges here. It's like college town. Like, there's housing options everywhere, so you'll be fine. For different prices too. You could go anywhere from like $400 a month to like a lot more than that, like $1,000, depending on what you decide. You know, if you want to live with a bunch of roommates, it'll be cheaper. If you want to live alone, it'll be more expensive. And then in terms of, like, the other breakdown, we do a cost that is health insurance, estimated costs of, like, your activities and books and school supplies. Again, that might be different for every person depending on who they are and what classes they take, but it is estimated. And so the health insurance that we provide at St. Thomas is really, really good. And you do have to have health insurance. You don't have to have ours, but you do have to prove you could pay it in a bank statement. So again, there's like this flexibility that exists in actuality, but it's probably true for you, if that makes sense, because you should do our health insurance. It's the best, easiest one to do. And then in terms of housing, you'll probably live on campus if you're an undergraduate student. So those are kind of where the fluctuation is. Students will only pay half of that cost each semester. So fall semester, spring semester, and they only pay it like 10 days after class starts. They also can work with our business office if it's better for like them and their family to pay it once a month and break it up over the semester. So into like 4 payments instead of 1 payment. If that just works better for people's families, that's absolutely doable. But again, you'd have to be able and willing to do the bank statement for the total cost up front so we can send you your I-20. And that's every school in the United States. And even if you look at other colleges, their cost of living estimates are even higher than ours. So kind of ask those questions early, I would recommend, to know kind of what that looks like for a college and their cost of living and their percentage they give you off tuition. Because if you get a 70% scholarship, instead of paying $45,000 for tuition, you pay like 13 or 14. Like, that's crazy. So like, take advantage, you know?
Exactly. Okay, so I think that answers your question, Ashwarya. So Abhishek has also asked the same question, so I would just mark it as answered as of now. Okay, so there's a very good question. Okay, I'm the person has not revealed his name. It's basically an anonymous question. So he's asking how many Indian students are there in your college, like in your university currently. If you can actually tell us a estimate, like obviously that you told us about the friendship family dinner, the international dinners and everything. The environment will be is a very student friendly one. We get that, but again, like if we talk about Indian students, like how many Indian students are currently enrolled in the university?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I did say they are our highest, second highest population for international students. So out of our, it's funny because we also count the students who are working afterward because we still work with them, but it's about 550 overall. And if I have this correct, and I could correct myself once I pull up my document, I think it's 97 students are from India. And I will tell you, I'll be honest, they're mostly in our master's programs because they've already been here for undergraduate a while. They knew St. Thomas was a good option, so they came for master's. However, we're actually seeing an awesome amount of increase in undergraduate applications from India, like way more than we've ever had, partly because we've partnered with ELS, which is a great company, and that's how I know you guys. But also because I think things are changing. More undergraduate students from India want to go abroad. So we've actually been having quite a large group come in each year for undergraduate students. And 2 of the students from India that I have, they're from Bhopal, are international student ambassadors. So I would be happy to connect them with you. They'd love to talk to you about what it's like to be an Indian student. And honestly, when you get there, they'll just like welcome you into their little family they've created. So you'll have an immediate friend group the second you arrive. So I wouldn't be concerned, but that's absolutely a good question. There's also a Desi club on campus, and that's specifically for students from India. So very cool.
Great. So might we can like get them in the next session. We can get the current students.
Yeah, okay. I'd love to. They're actually in India right now. They went home when things got crazy, so they're fine. Yeah.
Okay, so we're receiving questions about your doctorate, basically PhD programs, the doctorate programs. So what exactly is the process that you follow over there for the admissions? Like, first of all, if you can throw light, if there are any doctorate programs that are available at the university, and what kind of scholarships are there for that? Because obviously they will be a little bit different from the bachelor's and the master's programs. And how, like, what is the intake? How many courses are there? So if you can throw us some light on that.
That's a good question. So we are not a super, I don't know, busting school for PhD programs. We do have a few, and they mostly focus on education, educational leadership, educational organization and structure. So if you're interested in that, then we can play more follow-up. I actually only do admissions for undergraduate students. So our college is undergraduate, graduate, and then PhD level kind of gets pushed in with graduate. So what I would be happy to do though is give connections for the people who would make those decisions, especially for PhD students, because you need to ask those questions ahead of time. It's tricky. But we do have them if they're interested in education. However, with master's and doctorate, like especially doctorate, go to a big research university, like go to the big name that you are, thinking you have to go to, because then it matters more for the PhD level. But if you're interested in education, I'd be happy to talk about it.
Great. Okay, so Mr. Peddy, he has asked that will you accept IELTS indicator instead of the IELTS test? Because again, like in the eligibility in the section, you would have written that you are accepting Duolingo test as of now, but are you also accepting IELTS indicator test, which you have currently launched?
Yeah, We absolutely will. I know TOEFL also did an online thing. So yes, anything that we know that is trustworthy that could help us better understand that we don't put you at a disservice if you're not ready or you need more support, we're happy to accept. We totally get it.
Okay, and for the students who actually want to take the test in the centers itself, basically when the lockdown opens and they want to appear for that test only, how can they apply for now without any of the proficiency, the language proficiency exam? Will that be possible for them? That
Yeah, they can. So it's called conditional admission. And usually it's given to students who want to study English first. Like they need to study English in order to do school here. And they go to an English language center. We have one on our campus, maybe they go there. But if you were in the unique situation we are now and you just really wanted to wait on that, we could get your documents. We could do a conditional admission, meaning, yes, you'll get this much scholarship once you finish the English proficiency piece. I don't recommend it. I really recommend like just turn in what you can for English proficiency. If that's the only thing holding you up, it's English proficiency test, like send it our way. And if you're like, wait, I want to retake it, I want a better score or something like that, just communicate with us. We're really reachable by email or any of our accounts I'm sharing on my screen. We're happy to help you navigate what that looks like for each individual case, but I recommend get the test done as soon as you can, even if it's online.
got it. Okay, Amanda, so the next question is from Ashutosh, and he's actually addressing the main question that is arising in the mind of every study abroad aspirant. So, with the current pandemic, with the current situation that is going on, will US actually be a safe country for the students to study in? Because again, like US is having the maximum number of active cases as well. So how exactly, again, there are some steps being taken at the university level and at the country level. So but if we take everything all together, will it be a safe country for students to come and study, be for this next fall intake or for the spring intake, if we might say?
Super good question, and you should always be asking that, right? Like your safety matters, like it matters first. So we are located in Minnesota. So it is, the United States is just fun like that, where states, you know, are different but not. And so local governments are having a huge effect on how states are doing, and actually Minnesota is doing really, really well. So I would say that if you are going to come to the United States and you are concerned about safety, look at the state you're going to, especially like state, city, look, things like that, and are they doing well? Because likely you're not going to be going all over the place. You're going to be starting school in one area, right? So you want to make sure that area is safe and they're doing everything they can. We are actually we're consistently ranked one of the best run states. So government wise, really well run. And so that's really helped us in this because we've had awesome leadership. We're doing more testing than other people. We have like some of the facilities that make like worldwide masks, ventilators, all of that things. They're all in the Twin Cities. Like those are the companies that make them are in the Twin Cities. So it could be that, yes, it's safe to come here, but also you could get some really cool hands-on experience with some of these companies that are helping kind of solve this world's crisis. So that could be a unique, unexpected thing that you could learn about while you're here as well. But yes, absolutely check. I know the US has a ton of cases and that's really unfortunate, but it's going to be concentrated in super big cities, to be honest. That's just how it works, right? You guys know that too. I'm sure it's the same in India. So a smaller city like University of St. Thomas is in the Twin Cities, probably a safer bet, but also as a state, we're doing really well. So of course that's your decision to make. And if you did want to wait until spring to kind of see how things happen, totally fine. I think we're going to have a pretty big spring intake this year, just also because of visa delays too.
Exactly. Okay, so the next question is from Gudu Kumar, and the question is again related to the expenditure and the fees. I think Mr. Kumar, we have already answered that, so I would just skip that. Now, so the next question is like, are there any do your university, again, it's basically a question for the doctorate courses only. So are there any fully funded programs that are available at the university? Again, I think you might you might want to skip that question, but if you are if you can answer that, it would be great. Otherwise, we can.
At the doctorate level, no. The thing that I would say is once you have to get to the point where you have to start applying your practice, you know, maybe you're coming in as a J1 instead of an F1 student at that level, then it might be funded depending on your unique situation. It's the PhD level is a very personalized thing, so you really have to figure out like with the individual professors you're going to work with, like, is there funding for me, things like that. Since we are only really like in education for the PhD level, I'm gonna venture to guess no, because that's not where the money is, unfortunately. It'd be more in like research heavy areas. At the master's level, there is not fully funded, limited scholarships because it's actually fairly inexpensive. And at the undergraduate level, there are a select few fully funded students, kind of full ride for tuition, and those are for entrepreneurial students who are very interested in starting their own business. And it's like a competitive scholarship you have to go through.
Okay. So Amanda, you might know that most of the attendees there from India, and in India we actually calculate even the education on an ROI basis, basically the return on investment. So if we talk about the placements, because I see that there are many questions that are being raised by the students about how the employability looks after their course is over. Because obviously the economy, the world economy has been affected by this pandemic and everything is going downhill as of now.
Yep.
Obviously
Yep.
the economy will pick up, but again, students are actually concerned, what if they spend a lot this huge amount in their education, and what exactly their employability looks after their course is over?
Yeah, that's a great question and totally something you guys should be thinking about. I graduated and started college in the 2008 recession, so I understand the fear. It's real. So I get it. You do have to ask those questions for yourself.
Yeah.
What I would suggest is you are never not going to benefit from a college degree, especially one that's abroad, because it shows a lot of character building. People understand kind of what you've undertaken by moving away from home and experiencing a new culture. In terms of if you came to St. Thomas and what the ROI or return on investment is in that, like I mentioned, yes, we know the economy is struggling worldwide. We totally understand that, but you have a unique opportunity to potentially work with some of these companies that are helping solve some of the problems that we have. You know, like 3M makes all of the N95 masks. They're located down the street. Their international headquarters is in St. Paul, Minnesota. So maybe you'd want to do an internship with them. Maybe you want to do an internship with Medtronic, who's making all the ventilators. We have the Mayo Clinic an hour and a half north, which is the leading medical facility in the world, and especially handling a lot of these coronavirus issues. So maybe it would be a unfortunate turn of events, but something you could learn from and something you could actually get involved in with local companies. We've actually had students who have taken the initiative to use some of like 3D printing technology, engineering students, to make masks for different nonprofits. And all the companies in the area have been like, how can we help you? Use our facilities. Here's our facilities. Like, what a cool networking and also a way to give back to the community opportunity that the students have had, kind of making the best out of a bad situation. But I would recommend, like, if you still aren't confident for the September intake, it's okay. Like, we understand that. Like, please come in spring then when you feel like you've kind of seen the world settle a little more. But it doesn't hurt to apply for fall, and we'll just push you to spring if you want that time to figure out what your future looks like and kind of follow the news closely. I'd recommend that. If you're not feeling confident, you don't want to show up somewhere, anywhere for that matter, or make the next big future move if you don't feel confident. And then too, like if you want to talk one-on-one with someone at Collegedunia or myself or a current student who's experiencing this as a first-year student at St. Thomas from India, like, more than happy to connect you and just pick their brain on it to make you feel comfortable with whatever decision you make.
Great. So Amanda, just continuing what you said. So there are students who have already applied in your university. Now, like most like how it happens is, like, if a person he does not get his study permit, then he might get the course referred to the next intake, or he or she actually gives out a very valid reason to get his course deferred. Now, as you said, in case the student is actually just not feeling comfortable as of now to come for the September intake, he gets, even if he gets his study permit, there are no issues with that. He gets everything, the financial part approved, everything, but he or she still thinks that they are not actually comfortable. Will they be able to get the intake deferred without any other reason to provide?
Yep, totally fine. We get it. Yep, it's very easy, and then you keep your scholarship. What I'd recommend is you still do the deposits for housing if you're choosing to live on campus, and for like holding your place, because then you choose your housing and that holds. But also, like, we'll just move it over for you. It's not hard.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, Miss Vedika, she's asking, do you have any? Does the university has any options for hotel management course, or basically any similar courses?
Yeah, that's a good question. We don't actually. Those are really unique courses and not entirely super popular in the United States, if I'm being honest. You'd really have to pick out of a few and then pick the best fit. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, again, basically, this is a very interesting question, I think. So, what makes this university different from others, and why should we
Yeah.
opt it? Yeah.
I'm so happy that's a great question. You should always ask anybody like me that question, because how are you supposed to know? There's thousands of universities in the United States, right? So to me, since I have been here for 3 years and kind of seen it as a graduate student and now as a full-time professional, to me, the reason I work at St. Thomas and I don't want to work anywhere else, and I've chosen to stay in Minnesota for that, is the students. It is the international student community at St. Thomas, and that is not true everywhere. And it's really hard to figure out what that looks like on a website, to be honest. So that's why you should ask those questions of people like me. That's really important. If you go to a school where you are one in a group of thousands and thousands and thousands, that might be a really hard adjustment for you coming from abroad, right? Or if it's, 8,000 international students, like where is the honed in sense of community that you easily can find when you arrive? It might be the right fit for you. I don't know. But I'm saying that if you come to a smaller school where you have a week-long orientation with you and the 30 to 40 other students who came with you, and then you have international orientation leaders, you have ambassadors, you have everybody who is around who just wants to meet you because they want to welcome you and make you feel comfortable and have a friend, that's what St. Thomas has to offer. It is awesome. New student orientation is my favorite time of year because it is this, you see it happening in front of you. The students that were nervous and scared the previous year or even the previous semester are now the ones navigating, taking them to the store, helping do translations if somebody needs it. And it's that sense of community that you can't get everywhere, and that will help set you up not only just socially and mentally for your time here, but also like if you're thinking networking in the future, like you want to have a strong international network depending on what your future holds. Like you're never going to not get the value and appreciation out of that for every facet of your life. And so I would highly recommend making sure that the community that you join, as well as the educational rigor and everything else that's extremely important for your degree, is there. Because it's just not true at every school. It's not. So you need to ask those questions. Good question.
Thanks, Amanda. Okay, so I see actually there are questions regarding there are like 4 to 5 students have actually asked question about the eligibility for the university.
Mm-hmm.
So Amanda, will it be possible for you to put the eligibility slide again, basically the exam
Yeah,
scores
sure.
that are required, and we can actually have a rerun for that.
Hey, Gal.
Yeah. Exactly.
We have some other countries stuff in there. You can ignore the other stuff that doesn't make sense for you. But yeah, so TOEFL, IELTS, most common. And then we are accepting Duolingo right now, especially with being online. Like it's just hard. High school GPA, I calculate this for you. So that's another good thing you should look at universities and colleges in the United States. Sometimes schools will do it for you, and sometimes you have to go pay WES or ECE, these evaluation companies, a couple $100 to do it for you instead. We don't make you do that. I'll just do it for you. It's fine. And that way you get a really fast decision too. For direct students, it's less than 2 weeks. For international year 1 students, it's less than 48 hours that you know what your scholarship and admission are. So pretty quick. Yeah. So then SAT, ACT, not required, as you can see. Proof of funds, things like that. LORs, essay, resume, highly recommend them because it gives us a way bigger picture of who you are, and you want to get a good picture for that big scholarship, right? But it's not required. Like the LORs, I get it. Just mention it in your essay, but don't skip that essay because you can totally do that.
Exactly. Okay, so Miss Priya Patel, she's asking what course at a university will be the best one for a student who has just passed their 12th standard in the medical background.
Yeah, great question. So if she was interested in doing like a pre-med track, so what it is that you would do like a natural science. You do not have to actually to go to medical school in the United States. You can do a lot of different tracks or a lot of different majors. But if you want to do kind of the medical field or science field, I would recommend biology, biochemistry, or neuroscience, or you could even do a double major or a major minor in any of those. I have a student, you could talk to her if you want. She's from India, she's from Bhopal, she's doing neuroscience, and her plans are to go to the medical field. So that could be a really unique one. I have other students who do biology and a lot of research opportunities in any of those sciences. So I highly recommend those. And then when you get here and you decide that you want to do the pre-med track, then you just work with your advisors to make sure you're taking the right classes in order to move on to the next steps of applying to medical school.
Got it. Okay, so we have a question. The person says that he has done his engineering in mechanical, his bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and now he wants to go for a business management course for his
Okay.
master's.
Okay.
So what would you recommend for him?
Yeah. So do it. But at St. Thomas, our MBA program is extremely competitive. They're really great. So if you had some work experience in the United States, I'd say apply. But they actually require that you have 2 years experience in the United States working for our MBA program. However, we have a business analytics program at the master's level that is super awesome and does allow you to do the 3 years STEM OPT. So the 3 years permission to work after you graduate. If you're interested in analytics, I don't know if he is, but it's kind of like data science, but in the business world is my best way of describing it. Then I would recommend looking into the business analytics program if that fits. If not, then find an awesome MBA program to go to that doesn't require the 2 year work like ours does.
Okay. Okay, and so basically we have a question from Ashutosh. So he's
Mhm.
asking like, is there any kind of a scholarship that is given for a person with some work experience? Like, do you also take work experience as a metric to give out the scholarships?
So we do holistic review. So that's a good question. So holistic review is literally what you give us. You have to meet the requirements, of course, but what you give us is what we review as a whole. So if you had some really awesome work experience that you wanted to share about, that it absolutely would not hurt your chances of getting a scholarship. And it could be really great to also elaborate on in your essay. I would recommend talking about it in your essay so we can get a clearer picture of like what your situation is, who you are, things like that. And what I would say also is not only would it help potentially with your scholarship and admission decision, but it'll help with you once you're here when you're looking at internships and jobs. People like that people have experience. It's helpful. It shows leadership skills. And I've seen students who have experience do better in terms of getting leadership or on-campus jobs that I've obviously been a part of.
So the next question is from Miss Jyoti Patil, and the question is, so basically she's inquiring that what if a person has a communication problem? Basically, they are not able to, they're not that comfortable communicating in English, but they might get like she has a score, but again she might not be that comfortable to communicate in English. So what kind of like what would you recommend her?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I would recommend making friends with people who will force you to talk in English. Unfortunately, it's true, but I do think that that's the best way. If you wanted to do the International Year One program, if that made more sense for you, you would get that English language courses in there in your fall and your spring semester. And so that might help you gain more confidence, but also maybe some skills for academic English. We also have, for International Year One students, specific tutor on campus that will do whatever you want. You can just chat with them, you can work on a paper with them, but they're specifically working with students who speak English as a second or third or fourth language. Because it is hard, right? You're doing an amazing thing by going somewhere in a language that potentially isn't your first language. I have seen students who do like get nervous in the beginning, but then they blossom. And that's a big deal. It's just part of acculturation. It's part of being in the environment, having to think, learn, speak in English all the time. It'll just feel comfortable after a little bit of time. But we do have options for you. The community is extremely supportive. So even if you just had your friends around you to support you, that'd be a really good community to join.
Great. Okay, so Ankush is actually asking like, please tell me about the dates for the scholarship exam. So again, like I think he might have skipped the scholarship part. So
That's okay.
yeah.
It's never bad to hear about scholarships more than once. So all of the scholarships, there is no exam or there is no second application for them. All of the students who apply are considered for scholarship, whether they're International Year One or direct students, all get considered and they get a scholarship upon admission. Our dates for like when you have to apply by, AKA also get the scholarship by. So for fall intake, it's July 1, so that's pretty late. Don't recommend waiting that long, especially if visas are getting messy right now. You want to apply and get in as soon as possible. And then for our spring intake, it'd be December 1. So those are your kind of timelines for when you should absolutely be confirmed and done with everything.
Oh, thank you. So Ashutosh again, and he wants to inquire about the MBA program in data science that we just discussed, right?
Data
So
science,
yeah,
business
like
analytics or
business
data
analyst, yeah,
science?
yeah,
Okay,
analytics, the
because we have
analytics part,
both,
yeah,
so you
yeah,
could do either. Yeah, so this analytics program does get that STEM OPT, so that means you are eligible to work for 3 years after you complete your program. Eligible means you still have to go find your own job, absolutely. But per the US government, you are supported to stay and excited. People are excited to work with you. You can use the Career Development Center. I know the business school also has their own specific career people that help with what that path looks like for students to get internships and jobs. So that would be a really good resource for you to use the own business graduate school's career person. But then in terms of like business analytics versus data science, so data science is over there in our engineering and software program. Data science, I would arguably say, is our most popular field of study for master's international students. Because of the area being such a big booming area for tech. But if you want to talk to a student, I have a student who just graduated. Oh, she's graduating this weekend. And she actually just got admitted to the business analytics master's program as she was already doing economics undergrad. Now she's moving over. So again, if you want to talk to somebody, I'm happy to connect. So just follow up in an email.
great. Okay, and Amanda, so basically we have a question, and he wants to inquire about what are the, like if I talk about again the employability. Now,
Mhm.
what are the salary ranges that you might have seen your students, like the jobs that they are getting, that they get after the
Mhm.
course is over? So what kind of a
Yep.
salary range can the students expect over there?
Completely depends on the field of
Yeah,
study, to be honest.
exactly. Basically a very generic question, but if you can actually
Yeah,
address that. Yeah.
I can give you some ideas though about some of our more popular programs. So Actuarial Science, we're working closely with them because they really want students abroad to come into their program more. We do have a few, but it is, it has such a good reputation in the United States, but maybe the whole world doesn't know about it yet. So it's like a untapped secret, but it's amazing. So they're actually doing a lot more promotion for that. Their salary ranges depending on what tests students take for Actuarial Science. There's like all these different levels. Anywhere from like 60,000 to 110,000 starting salary, which anywhere above 60 is really good, honestly. So that's good. Engineering, data science, computer science, all of those, you are going to hit those higher salary ranges just because of the demand there is for students who have those skills. I can't give you a quantifiable number, but I would say it's definitely in like the 50 to 100 range, which is a large range, but especially, I mean, we see their job offers. So if you really want to know, I could follow up specifically with somebody and get a specific salary range for you for one of the majors. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so basically we have a special request from Arati, and she wants us if you can please arrange a session with the Indian students studying in the university,
Yes.
and
Would
to talk
love
about
to.
more about the experience and the quality of education. So yeah, so
Happy to do
sure,
it. They would love to do it.
sure, Rati. So basically, what we'll do is we'll pass on the contact information for these specific students with you, Amanda, so you can then
Mhm.
actually take it over, and I think that would be the best way to address the issues,
Definitely.
right?
Yeah, we have a WhatsApp group too for all of our admitted students who are from India with one of our current students. So that way you guys have that connection. So we can do the webinar, we can do a video chat, and we'll actually add you in. If you do choose to apply and are admitted, we'll add you into the group too.
Great. Okay, so I think we are moreover done with the questions. Okay, Ashwarya Balaji is again raised. Is there any chance to communicate with the university students directly? Again,
Yeah,
guys, we'll try and we'll arrange a special session for you with the university students, and we'll even pass on your information to Amanda.
yeah.
And Amanda, can you please put on the contact us screen for you, basically in which your channels are listed, the email address and everything.
Yeah, I can.
So the students, they can actually directly get in touch with you
Yep.
as well.
So if you email me at the top, or this is our general email, either one works. I answer both. Our team answers the second one more. We can connect you really fast, actually, over WhatsApp, over email. We'll introduce you, and then you can talk over WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever you want. These students seriously live to talk to you guys, so don't feel bad about asking because they're so excited. I have 2 students from India that are volunteers to be international student ambassadors, which is what they're called, the people who volunteer to talk to you guys. But that doesn't mean you can't talk to other students too. They'd also be happy to talk to you. So maybe there's a major or a person from a certain region of India or something that you want to get in touch with. These 2 girls that I'm thinking of can connect you easily with anybody. So
Got it. Got it. Okay, so Amanda, I think we have already it's already 1 hour and 10 minutes that we have taken up, and I think we have
Okay,
taken up more time from you. So
that's okay.
yeah, so just your ending notes, Amanda. After that, we can actually get the webinar ended.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for all the good questions, like really strong, good questions. Please always ask those questions to anybody like me, because making a decision about your college is extremely important. And I'm super happy to follow up with anybody. If you want to ask me more questions about your specific situation, reach out to Collegedunia, reach out to me. We're here to support you. And again, you should always be able to talk to a current student at a college. So please keep asking those great questions about that. That's really important for your experience. If you want to know more about kind of what our coronavirus plan is for the fall, please reach out to me. We're happy to help and support. We know it's an uncertain time, but you will never lose the value of studying abroad. I will say that. It'll always be valuable. It'll always be a good decision, even in crazy times like we're in now, but make the best decision for yourself and your health and your family. But thank you so much for listening to me today. Please feel free to follow us on Instagram to see more pictures of our students, connect with us, learn more about what it's like to go to St. Thomas. And thank you so much for having me, and have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. Thanks for taking out your valuable time and speak with us. It was a great session indeed, and so stay safe, stay home till the situation
Thank
improves,
you.
and then we'll see. Thank
You
you.
too. Bye. Thank you all.
You. Thank you.